Welcome back to Forest Farm. This episode is all about animal behaviour and how to track them. Some people that come into the forest, hang on a minute. That's better. Some people that come into the forest, they say there's nothing there in the winter, there's nothing there in the winter. It couldn't be further from the truth. There's so much going on if you know what to look for. And it's not so much about looking as it is about seeing. Once you see stuff and start to see stuff, it takes a while to settle into it, but once you start seeing stuff that doesn't quite fit or movement, then the stories start to come out. And this episode is all about the stories of animals, not just the shape of their feet, which is far more interesting, I think. Let's go find some tracks. So this is really fascinating. We've got a wolf track coming in from the west, another wolf track coming in from the south, and a further wolf track coming in from the north. They've converged at this point, they've slowed down, it goes towards the house, and last night Jellybean went mental at about 1 o'clock because they started howling. So I'm thinking that this is wolves and they are on the hunt and they're going somewhere. They're determined. This is quite a fast pace. So already there's a story starting to emerge from what looks like a domestic dog, and it's totally not a domestic dog. This guy really looks like he knows where he's going. Domestic dogs have got a wider gait, so one steps slightly outside of the other, whereas what we're seeing is that, 1 foot, and then another foot, and then another foot. Well, I've happened along some rabbit tracks here. Identifying types of rabbits from the Laparidae family is pretty tricky because 50% of them are made up of rabbits, 50% are made up of hares. I can tell that these are eastern cottontails. They're among the hawthorns. Cottontails like the hawthorns. Snowshoes, hares, they tend to like the white pine more. They hang around in the coniferous forest, whereas these guys, the cottontails, they're smaller. They've nipped all the hawthorn switches here, all the little sticks. They've got 2 sets of incisors, so they always cut a 45-degree cut in whatever they're biting, as opposed to deer that only have the 1 incisor on the bottom. So you can tell it's a rabbit and not a deer, because when the deers graze, they shred the thing, whereas these guys they always look like they've been done with scissors. And same with the snowshoe hares, you can always tell the rabbits apart that way from deer. When the rabbit puts his front feet down, which are smaller, he then brings his rear legs in front. So if you want to tell what direction a rabbit's going in, always follow in the direction of where the larger feet are, because they go small and then they bring round their large and then they lift, because they're, funny enough, not everyone knows this, but rabbits tend to hop a lot. There's an awful lot of rabbits in the forest, especially these eastern cottontails. They're really cute. They're brown all year. The snowshoe hares are white in the winter and then brown in the summer. And like I've said, 2 different environments they live in, 2 different types of food they eat. Everything eats them. They are the most prolific food source in the North American environment for wild animals, next to mice and voles. That's what we were seeing earlier when we were tracking the wolves. The wolves are after these guys, and I don't see any wolves around this area yet, no tracks yet. There's a little community of rabbits around here, that seem to be doing rather well, doing what rabbits do best. So even though this track is about 3 days old, we've still got a story here. It's really lovely that these stories are still telling us what's going on. Where they've been nibbling away on the sticks, as the snow melts, you'll see the snow go down, and then there'll be these tops that are right up here, and you think, however could a rabbit have got to those? And then you realise, well, the snow's melted around, and now the rabbit's gone off and he's nipped off another stick somewhere else much lower in the ground. It's awesome. I love it. What we've got here is this little guy's hopped into this little scene here, and he's just a gentle hop, and he's had a browse around here, had a sniff around these twigs and gone, nah, there's nothing here. And then he's hopped out and he's gone off in that direction. So rather than having burrows like the European rabbits, the North American rabbits and hares seem to have these little shallow nests called forms, and they'll pluck their fur out, and they'll line that fur on top of the straw for the babies. There's some fresh stuff here and fresh urine. Lucky me. Let's see if I can find a nest. It's completely dry under here, which is really a great place for nesting for them. So they can quite happily, when the spring comes, hop up onto these logs, with 2 or 3 of these logs together, and build a nest on that as well. Have their kittens on that. Fabulous piece of real estate right here in Ontario, if you're a rabbit. So we found a grey squirrel track very similar to the eastern cottontail, except the rear feet are side by side, whereas on the cottontail they're one behind the other. That's how you tell them apart. So I was following a squirrel one day and heading after the tracks, and then all of a sudden they disappeared. I thought, where the heck's that squirrel gone? And then I noticed there were these marks like this, either side of where the squirrel had been, and then no squirrel. What the heck was that? And then I realised that they were the wingtips of a raptor, like an owl or a hawk, that had come down, snatched him and taken off with his lunch. It's been a great day of tracking, really had fun. Hopefully it's inspired you to go find some of your own stories out there, but there is one more thing that we've discovered and we've no idea. Just stay watching, see if you know what this track is.